Welcome to the video on compound interest. In this video, I'll talk briefly about what compound interest is and then do a few questions from the textbook. If you remember back to simple interest, the amount of interest that you have to pay, or that is paid to you, is calculated based on just the initial amount. And every time that you get paid interest, it's the same amount that you get paid. Compound interest is different in that the amount of interest for you to pay is calculated based on the initial amount plus whatever interest you've accrued. So you can think of it as interest on interest. The interest that you have to pay also itself accumulates interest. So you can imagine that it would ratchet up in a non-linear kind of fashion. Let's have a look at the formula. It looks a bit complicated because there's this fraction on fraction business, but it's really not that bad. Just notice that the line in between the R and the N is shorter than the line between the N and the 100. And if it's the same on your calculator when you put it in, with this top one being shorter than this bottom one, then you're pretty well guaranteed to get the correct answer. Okay, what do all the letters stand for? We've got A as the total amount. Notice that this is different to in simple interest where it was I equals. There it was the interest that we calculated. Here it's the total amount that we calculate. That'll come into play in later questions when it asks you what the interest is. P is the principal, just like before. That's not a problem. R is the interest rate. Yes. Now, N is the number of compounding periods per year. This is going to come into play in some of these question 2 type 1s. And I will talk about what that means when we get up to those questions. And then T is the time in years. And notice that there's an N here and here. So whatever you find that N value to be, you've got to put it in both places. All right, let's have a look at question 1A from the textbook. Use this formula to calculate the amount to which each of the following investments will grow with the interest compounded annually. Now, notice that this formula here in the textbook is different to the one that I've given up here. This formula that I've given is the one that you use next year, and I think it's better to learn the proper one, the more useful one first. Okay, so we've got $3,000 at 4% per annum for 2 years. Principal is 3,000, so that's our P. 1 plus. Now, how do we do this fraction thing, the double fraction? We are going to press our fraction button twice. 1, 2. This is exactly the same process that you do on a scientific calculator. You'll end up with the same double fraction. And notice that the top line here, the top line in between the numerator and denominator, is shorter than this one. And that's the same way it is in the formula, so it's going to be correct. Okay, what goes in this top box? It's R, which was 4. Now, N, our number of compounding periods per year. This is the number of times that the interest is added on per year. And it's going to be different in different questions. Here, it's compounded annually. Annually means once a year. So we just put a 1 here. 100 is 100. Close the bracket. Now, to the power of is this button. It's a caret thing. You've got it on your calculators, and that shouldn't be a problem. Now, see how there's this N times T? I want you to bracket this. N was 1, as we said before, and T was 2, because it's 2 years. So times 2. And there's your answer. Why do we need to bracket it? Because if you don't, then BODMAS is going to give you the wrong answer. It's going to think that that 2 is not in the power. See that? The top one is the correct one. There is another way to do it, and that's to use the actual exponent button here where my mouse is. When you press that, if you put 1 times 2 here, that'll give you the correct answer. Okay? So pick either the first one or the third one. Just know that, that needs to be bracketed. I think the safest thing to do would be to always bracket it, and then you'll always get it correct. Because this, move the box, that one is correct too. So yeah, just to be safe, always bracket that thing in the power. Okay, let's check out one of the questions from 2. I'll just clear my screen, edit, clear all. And I'm going to go to A. Calculate the compounded value of each of the following investments. $870 for 2 years at 3.5% per annum with interest compounded 6 monthly. Okay, notice that the interest is not compounded once per year, which means the end value is going to be different. Okay, so let's sub the stuff into our formula. P is 870. 1 plus fraction. Now our rate is 3.5. Our N, 6 monthly, which means it's compounded twice per year. 2. 100 is 100 to the power of N times T. N was 2, and it was 2 years. Done deal, that's it. 932.52. Easy peasy. In the next video, I'll be showing you how to use something called the financial solver, which is an even easier way to find the answers to these. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.